Thank you everyone for joining. This is, as I mentioned before, this is our third boot camp series we've conducted. They're always a block of 6 training sessions, and today's one of my favorite topics of discussion, right? Because we're going to talk about core beliefs and structure and how Quest goes to market and how we can help your business and your organization grow through leveraging a little bit of our building block strategy. So one of my favorite topics out of all the topics we have that we cover in our bootcamp series. So thank you very much for registering and attending. We're going to jump right into it here. And like Paul said, this was built based on customer and our partner feedback around training and how do we work together and how do we get things done. We love going to advisory councils. We love hearing from our partners. We love hearing feedback. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback we heard was, hey, we'd like to understand what are good opportunities, what are good fits, what are good areas of the market that you guys can address, and then how do we win more together? So without overthinking it, we said, let's just put together a training session specifically on how we work. So again, thank you very much for investing your time. Today, we're going to be going through the way Quest approaches the market and a little bit about our qualification process. We're also going to be discussing business objectives and things that we're looking to understand when we're talking to you and your customers around the outcomes they're looking to achieve. And then critical to that strategy is identifying customer pain points in order to evaluate that outcome. So want you guys to walk away from this session with the ability to kind of understand what's a good fit for Quest, when to bring us in, how we can work together in addressing those, and then also how to grow engagements with your accounts. A key strategy with Quest and a big differentiator with us is we help out in a lot of different areas. And one thing you can do and you can learn to build with us is basically starting. Sometimes maybe you start a little bit small, but landing and expanding and servicing multiple different areas of your customer base that potentially maybe right now you don't necessarily have access to or the ability to deliver in. So the thing, as far as skills we're going to be going through here is really positioning that outcome-based conversation. What are they trying to achieve at the end of the day? Product and manufacturer or brand names are not necessarily something that lead towards a outcome-based conversation. And these complex opportunities are everywhere. So we want to help you guys figure out where to kind of plug in to address these complex opportunities, which is unique in the market. And it's a unique way you can differentiate yourself with your customers around helping out with complex requirements. So part of why Quest believes what we believe and what we've seen as a thesis out in the market. You've probably all heard this, but there is a continuing and declining availability of competent IT talent that can address the quick growth of the capabilities being provided by the tech itself. This isn't bashing current IT staff or directors or CIOs. Things are just changing so quickly. When we first started our company in 1982, you could look out a couple years and understand the trajectory of where the market and where things were going. We went through the PC revolution, went through the dot-com boom and bust cycle, went through the financial crisis, went through a lot of different economic areas and challenges, but you could see things kind of evolving and you could kind of see things changing. Right now, the rate of change has accelerated and things are changing on a monthly basis. And the IT organizations that are out there trying to keep these companies alive and operational they're not cutting it. They just can't. They can't keep up and they need some help. Now you pair that with the second item here is that about 80% of your customers, and this is not a judgment in a good or bad way, it's just a lot of people are do-it-yourselfers, right? They are people who go to Home Depot and want to remodel their own kitchen, want to remodel their own bathroom. They've never done that before, but hey, buy some drywall, buy some tile and take a crack at it. Yeah, probably plumbing yourself is a rough idea, but people do it all the time. In the real world, no different in IT. People who have never done a cloud migration, people who have never done a multi-factor authentication integration project, people who have maybe done one VoIP cut or something like that in their life or transition from one data center to another. They figure, hey, let's figure out how to do it ourselves. The other little nugget here that we see in the market is about 70% of those projects, and all IT projects, do not meet their intended outcome, right? They fail, right? And they don't even really get past the halfway mark of success based on their initial intent. So you got a lot of people who are out there remodeling their bathrooms, their significant other, by the time the remodel is done, not quite happy, right? Not quite getting it done. So you have organizations that are challenged with quickly advancing technology capabilities and changing in what's available to them to execute with. And you have people who are of the do-it-yourself mindset and are failing, right? They are failing to hit the project milestones that they need to. Now, just stay away from sharp objects. I know this is a real upper in the conversation, but we have vendors out there, right, in the marketplace who are driven by, quarterly results, and they got to sell their stuff, right? People got to sell a widget, right? Network providers got to sell network. Security providers got to sell their security stack. Voice and unified communications people and call manager folks, they got to sell their widget to the customer. And they push that mindset. They all know that a lot of their target audience are do-it-yourselfers. So they push the idea that, hey, you can take this extremely robust ITSM model platform and roll it out and do asset management and ticketing and patching and integrate it with all of your diverse endpoints and operating systems and across networks that have been kind of cobbled together over 10 years, and it's all going to work great. Could be, definitely could be. Not saying it's not, but when you stack the idea of people that aren't quite capable enough to execute on the changing technology with people who kind of stick in that do-it-yourself mindset where 70% of the projects fail, and then you have a vendor community that's pushing the idea that yes, you can do it yourself. Please go tackle that kitchen remodel. You get a lot of pain in the marketplace. So when you're thinking about, hey, what does Quest do? Where do they fit? And why do they do and believe what they believe? This is our why. This is what we see out in the marketplace. This is how we consistently try to help. And this is what we see happening. This is what we see kind of evolving. Key to that, if you've ever read the book, I'm sure you have, if you're in sales or you're learning about different sales strategies, one way we love to differentiate is by trying to change the game and approach customers with a blue ocean strategy. And we can help you and your organization do this when you're dealing with complex IT challenges. Now, for anyone who hasn't read the book Blue Ocean Strategy, definitely would recommend it. And it kind of cuts the world into two paths. On the red ocean side of the house, there's an existing marketplace. Think straight data center, right? You got all the different data center providers out there, right? They have power, they have space, they have cooling, and they're in a geography. One of the things that you see happen in data center opportunities is you want to pit this data center provider against this data center provider and get your customer the best price for power, ping, and cooling and space, right? So is what it is, not a lot of differentiation there. Sure, there's some cool marketing material, but at the end of the day, a tier 3 or tier 4 data center, if it's really a tier 3 or tier 4 data center, is that. It's going after the existing demand, right? So it kind of has a finite view of the world, right? The pie is the pie, and this provider has to outcompete this provider, and it gets bloody. That's why it's a red ocean. There's a lot of blood in the water. Okay, there's the idea of that value cost trade-off, give a little, get a little, quid pro quo, all that kind of stuff. And the entire system of that data center selection potentially, and I'm just talking data center, is targeted at, hey, we're going to differentiate best on the best cost. And there's a lot of organizations out there that do really, really well in that red ocean, right? There's tons of organizations that compete, duke it out, and just get after it in the red ocean. And that's totally fine. Not saying that's wrong. The blue ocean strategy is the idea of, is there something else in that data center conversation that we can differentiate or help that customer with? Is it an on-site technical resource? Is it providing the assets as a service? Is it having someone able to go there and run patching or swap drives or help them manage those assets 24/7, right? So there's different kind of capabilities that the customer, if you are able to have that outcome-based conversation with them, you can kind of shift them into maybe a little bit more of a blue ocean mindset and make the other data center providers irrelevant. Not in the sense that they're not playing the game anymore, but if you can change the game a little bit, you can create a little bit of new demand. So what we're always trying to do when you call us with an opportunity is we're trying to understand, which battlefield are we entering? Are we jumping into a multi-vendor, hey, I got 5 different people in here who can do the same thing, and Quest, I need you to go in there and beat out the other organization? Or are there maybe 5 vendors that are going after the same opportunity, but there's an area where we can differentiate and help your customer achieve the outcome that they're looking for? Because a lot of organizations walk into the red ocean expectation. Your customers expect to be pitched and to be told why one customer is better than the other. We don't necessarily approach it in the mindset of we're better than that organization. Our goal, and what we would love for you to have your goal be as well, is, hey, we do a great job. We have a tier 3, tier 4 data center, distributed, redundant, all sorts of good stuff there. But what else are you trying to achieve within that data center space? Is there something else you need help with that maybe you're not getting with these other 4 vendors? And if the answer is no, that's okay. It is what it is. Here's what we got, and we'd love to work with you. But if there is an additional capability, and we're going to get into the building blocks in a second, and how you can take advantage of that, but you really create a different type of engagement, right? Helping the organization understand what they're trying to do. If it's a commodity buy, it's a commodity buy. That's okay. But if it's not, and there's an area where we can move or adjust, huge opportunity to sell more together and be a differentiator with that end customer. The other area, if you're blending 2 of our strategies together, and as far as how we evaluate things, is also a little bit of a blend here around what type of customer you're involved with. Now, every single one of our customers and yours goes through these 4 different areas, right? And you have to stay connected with them to know when the time is right to actually help them get something done. Now, before I go into this, I want to quantify the idea that relationships trump everything, right? So if you have a relationship with an organization and they want to buy from you, or they want to source through you because you've been a trusted advisor for them, you've helped them through complex challenges, and you know what? I'm gonna source through Bob because Bob's been there in the trenches with me. I got a relationship with him. He knows me. I know him. We're working together. If that's the case, what I'm about to say is irrelevant. So relationships, we've been around for 42 plus years. We've built our business based on doing what you say you're going to do and executing for people. That's what we truly believe. And we've fostered a lot of relationships in the IT community where people will just reach out to us for help because they trust us. So outside of that, though, when you're dealing with maybe a new opportunity and maybe someone who you don't have a relationship with, this is a little bit about how we qualify things. 4 different types of customers. Every single customer and every single different building block area we have is in one of these zones, right? They're rapidly growing, right? They're expanding. Think like hyper growth, new hot AI company. They're dropping money. They're buying data centers. They're rolling, running, and gunning. The probability of them taking action on a new purchase or a new service or something like that, it's middle of the road. Could be, maybe not. They're running and gunning. They're not in huge need. Even keel is more of the mindset of they go through RFPs. They're not in a rush. They kind of understand their budget cycles. They're the kind of firms that call you and say, hey, we got something maybe or maybe not kicking off next January. Can you give us a pricing assessment or a budget expectation for something that's happening in 6 months? If we like what you have to say, maybe we'll call you back. Maybe we won't. But they're kind of they got what they got. They know what they got. The other one is overconfident, right? Maybe they think they know a little bit more about their security platform and their, their redundancy or their backups or their replication strategy, and they're very very confident in what they have in place. That's okay. That's they're kind of very very along that do-it-yourselfer kind of world, and they don't need any outside advice or any outside help. That's totally fine. Totally respect that. You want to just stay in touch with all these different groups because at some point we're in IT, right? And if you think everything is always fine in IT and you want to make friends being in IT, that could be a tough place to be because things break, right? And things go wrong and patches get rolled out and people roll updates and people, cut fiber lines and things happen, right? So at some point, every single one of these customers is going to go into the pain cave and experience some trouble. And one of the things that we've built our business around is the ability to execute very, very quickly and very, very rapidly to address people's trouble and pain with multiple building blocks across the IT stack. Don't care if it's physical infrastructure, cabling, wireless, APs, video surveillance, those types of things, all the way to advanced system integration, application development, and everything in between. Network, systems, hardware, software, subscriptions, everything in between. Our organization is built to rapidly respond and address trouble and pain. And we do that very, very well, right? So we work with organizations in all of these areas, and so do you. And the customers I'm talking about that maybe you're a little bit overconfident. The organizations that are in growth phase. And hey, we gotta hitch our wagon to this shooting star and get it while the getting's good. There's all sorts of different clients, and every single one of them are in different zones. So this is a little bit about our strategy around how to recognize opportunity. And one of the things you'll see when we're kind of having conversations with you about opportunities is we want to understand where they're at in there, and your relationship, obviously, as far as how we can move the ball forward and help. Because there's different ways to deal with overconfident customers versus growth customers versus organizations that are in trouble and pain. And furthering that differentiator, and so how we execute is basically our service pillars and our building blocks. So being around for 40 plus years, we've built out these different capabilities based on a customer requirement. Not on the idea that, hey, Quest should really get into the disaster recovery business because disaster recovery is where you need to focus your time, or cybersecurity because you get a higher valuation if you say you're a cybersecurity firm, or application development or professional services or infrastructure services. These are all things that are built upon a customer requirement. We started out as a VAR, helping organizations purchase product, do the pre-sales engineering, helping them out with that selection, acting as a trusted advisor, sitting on the same side of the table as the customer as we evaluated a Cisco versus a Juniper versus a Fortinet versus a Palo Alto solution, right? Been doing that for 42 years. So understand that game very, very well. It can help organizations build things out that fit their needs. As organizations and those product sets got more and more complicated, people needed help. So we built out professional services to help them integrate, onboard, and do the actual engineering, turning the wrenches and getting those systems turned up. Firewalls, switches, data centers, cabling, all that kind of stuff from a professional services standpoint, right? And then as you continue to move into managed services, they needed help operating and supporting that after we turned it up. So we evolved with the market. And a big area where people have trouble and pain, so back to our strategy here of where people need help, was disaster recovery. Back early 2000s and into the 2010s, people were struggling with the idea of, hey, I got backups, I got systems replicated, but how do I actually get these systems back up and operational, right? We've seen outages, we got to figure out a way to recover these systems. It was a challenge, and regulations came down. People were forced to deal with their customers, guaranteeing the availability of their data. Cloud got involved, and you had, the Microsoft Azures and AWSs and, the cloud first strategies happening around, well, yeah, DR is just included in those systems, right? No, it's not. So we built out a significant risk management practice around that. So all of these building blocks really, really help address a diverse need of the customers, but also products is connected to DR. Whatever they bought 5 years ago, you have to figure out how to recover that, right? Whatever they bought 3 years ago, cybersecurity, you have to figure out how to help them secure that. And you don't necessarily get the opportunity to rip and replace everything as it happens. So you take the building block approach of what are they trying to do in disaster recovery or in application development or with their unified communication stack. And then you take the building blocks that we have available to either support the existing system they have today or help them operate a new one. It's a different approach because we don't necessarily lead with a specific offering. And for us, just speaking candidly here, that's a double-edged sword for Quest because sometimes our partners like you don't know, hey, when do we actually call Quest? Like, what do they actually do? Right? Like I hear this building block strategy. I hear this story, but do they work a lot with Palo Alto? Do they work a lot with Cisco? Do they work a lot with Microsoft? Do they work a lot with, with NetApp or Pure Storage or SonicWall or what do they do? Well, what we do is we have an agnostic vendor approach, very similar to a lot of you when you go to, your TSBs and TSDs out there and your agencies and who you're working with. Tons of platforms that are available, tons of assets that are available, lots of engineering skill sets that we can help deliver on. But what we've got to have in the first place is that business outcome conversation. Now, this is kind of building here a little bit on the idea of organizations are in trouble and pain, or we have a relationship with them. We have lots of different service areas from physical infrastructure to product to application development to UCaaS all across the spectrum. Now you get down to the conversation of if you've got through that discussion with your customer about, hey, we're talking about a certain building block here. We're talking about cybersecurity, right? We want to have a conversation around cybersecurity, and they share some ideas around what they're looking to achieve. One of our first things when we're working with you and with your customer is how would they like to consume it? And some people kind of look at us like, well, they want to buy this stuff, Adam. Like, what do you mean? How do they want to consume it? There's a lot of different ways that organizations can consume technology, and this is a big differentiator for us as well. So on the far left of your screen is traditional value-added reseller engagement. Customer purchases the licensing or the hardware, and they operate the licensing or the hardware, right? That's a point in time, a transaction, right? That happens. So you're in front of that. You've worked with them on the budget. You've worked with the vendor to secure pricing. We've put the BOM together, and we're gonna drop ship them that equipment when we get the PO. You get the margin. You sell the deal. You help them with the purchase. It's great. It's great stuff. Love it. To do that all day. One of the things I consistently talk to our partners about is if you were not involved in that transaction, right? If another VAR was in there or a national VAR was in there or someone else that they have existing terms with, sold them that gear, that licensing, those SKUs, whatever it is across the stack, again, could be video surveillance, could be Microsoft licensing, could be endpoint protection, could be firewalls, doesn't matter. There's still an opportunity to help them, and you can come in if there is a need that was not addressed by that point in time purchase. So as you move to the center building block here, you have the idea that the customer bought some stuff, but they need help operating it and maintaining it. So this is where Quest can drop in monitoring, alerting, and remote management capabilities of a client's current investment. So it's not a rip and replace managed service offering. It's not hey, this has to go and we're going to put in the widget that we like. They have an existing investment. They may be a year, 2 years, 3 years into a product cycle, and they need help operating it because they just lost their senior network engineer. Not a problem at all. We do that all the time. That's where we help drop in our monitoring and management nodes and basically support them 24/7 from our network operations center. So if you miss out in the first transaction, bump over this building block and ask them if they need day 2 support. How's the operation of that going? A lot of organizations, so remember, go back to our thesis. a lot of projects, a lot of IT initiatives fail to meet their stated objective. And there's a ton of do-it-yourselfers. So if you got a bunch of do-it-yourselfers buying a bunch of stuff, 70% of these are going to fail to meet their stated objective. So stay connected with that customer, stay involved in their business, and stay close to ask them, hey, I know you just bought that firewall upgrade, and you just moved to SD-WAN, or you moved to a SASE solution, or you moved to that new data center, or you transitioned all your users to, remote workstations or things like that. How's that going for you? Do you need any help with what you guys did there? That's where you can easily shift over here to a managed service solution and be relevant to that customer to help them achieve what they may or may not have failed to achieve in this project cycle here. Okay, so always an opportunity to stay engaged. There's going to be some pain somewhere around the world here, and we can help them out. As you move over to the other two options here on the right-hand side, these are where you would kind of be more flex idea with the idea of platform as a service. So the dark blue one here is they like the capability of a certain offering, right? They want a certain firewall solution, or they want a certain cloud solution or private cloud solution, but they still want to drive the command line. They still want to be able to log in, make moves, adds, and changes. They still want to be able to do that, but for whatever reason, maybe they don't want to capitalize that entire expense, right? They want to basically consume that as a service. So what Quest does, and what we've been doing with Quest Flex for a very long time, is providing that platform as a service, regardless of the technology. So you can take something like a video surveillance stack, like the Verkatas or the Axis cameras, or the S2 or ONSSI or something like that, or Milestone, and you can deploy those assets as a service for the customer, and they can still have access to make moves, adds, and changes on that platform where they consume it as a monthly reoccurring charge. Same with switches, same with firewalls, same with their licensing SKUs, same with everything that they have that powers their IT. Quest can acquire the assets, package it together, and deliver it back to the customer as a service, all the way from the physical infrastructure. So cabling, think wireless solution, right? You have to cable the solution, you have to cable the environment, you have to install the drops, you have to purchase the switches, you have to turn up the IDF, you have to punch all those down and get everything set up, you have to wire everything, you have to light it with connectivity from the outside world, so either some type of a connectivity back to their data center or to a internet pop or something. So you have the connectivity, the cabling, the hardware, and then you have the day two support. What Quest can do is package that entire platform up as a service and hand it over to their IT organization to manage it themselves. Or if they don't want to manage it themselves, they just say, hey, Adam, or hey, trusted advisor, I want this whole thing delivered as a service. That's when you get to this green box over here. That's when you get to the capability SLA. Here's the capability I want. Here's the budget I have. What can you do for me? Oftentimes, customers are never going to think of this until you say it to them about 4 or 5 times and let them know, hey, I got this company. They can take all these different parts and pieces of this project and put it together for you and deliver it to you as a service. And you say it to them about 5 or 6 times. And what happens is a couple months will go by. I love these calls. These are my favorite calls. 5 or 6 months go by, and you'll get a call from that customer, or you'll be checking in with them, and they'll say to you, hey, Bob, I had an idea. Do you have anyone in your portfolio of service providers, or do you have anybody that you could work with that could take these 4 or 5 different parts and kind of put it together and deliver it to me like as a service, right? And you can scratch your head and pretend that you didn't talk about this 10 times with them before, and say, you know what? Yeah, I think I do. I got a team who could do this. Let's set up a call. And we set up a conversation, and we set up a discussion, and you can really, really change the game with that customer. Oftentimes it has to be their idea, but it goes back to, and this is our strategy. It doesn't have to be yours. Staying in touch with those organizations, while they go through that evolution of different areas of focus. And then at some point, it becomes their idea, which is a huge opportunity. We have some fantastic deals that are just, awesome to see that we're gonna be going through here in a little bit. But this is core to what we believe and how we do things. We got some feedback, so we adjusted some things here in the presentation, but we got some feedback that organizations sometimes in our partners don't understand what we do from an MSP standpoint. I had a buddy of mine in the channel who done some really cool like projects with and some cool events and things like that. But they thought of us primarily as a data center, right? They thought it was, oh, you got 2 data centers in Northern California and do private cloud services around 16 others, but like if I have customer resources on site, you guys can't really help. Not true, but shame on us for not somehow communicating to the world what we can do. And so one to really highlight on this boot camp and this section here is we can help with multiple delivery options at the customer location, at the data center of their choosing, or at one of our locations. And this is 24/7 managed security services and traditional MSP services. So traditional MSP services, right? Monitoring, alerting, reporting, providing feedback, up, down, circuit dropped, servers impacted, end user can't access Microsoft, all the basic blocking and tackling managed services we've been doing for 25 years, right? Up, down, event management, all that good stuff. Building upon that, then you move into like, okay, now we're going to remediate and manage the endpoints, right? So patch management, right? And logging events, right? So storing logs of what happens at an endpoint and an environment. So 24/7 security services as well. So MSP services across the board, everything from the endpoint to the network to the advanced security services. Quest can help build these different services in here, right? So these are available to you. These are areas where you can start a conversation and help an organization, manage, support, patch, and maintain their environment. We do it basically by having a conversation about what they're trying to achieve. And managed services and MSSP services, managed security services, means lots of different things to lots of different customers. But back again to the idea of what challenges does an organization have, these are where we want to have the conversation around how are they currently managing their firewall? How are they currently connecting their end users to their environment? What's their VPN policy, right? How are they managing their AV and their anomaly detection, all that kind of good stuff. So been doing this for 25 years, got a great team that can address a lot of different solutions and a lot of different assets around the world. We actually just finished a 200 location firewall as a service deployment in over 40 countries. And that was a massive deployment that took about 2 years to get through. But fantastic operational unit that can help your customers from, a couple hundred users to a couple thousand. So, oftentimes people will ask us, hey, this is great. You guys do a ton. But where do you actually start? Organizations are having trouble, like we talked about, they're having trouble finding qualified IT resources. One of our largest verticals in the channel last year was helping organizations staff talent at their location, at their company to help with specific projects. They didn't know where to find certain resources. Everyone's heard about the VMware challenges or some of the Microsoft issues or the CrowdStrike issues or the Microsoft Teams, or how do you move from Cisco Call Manager to Microsoft Teams, or how do you transition from an on-premise Avaya environment to a hosted solution. Organizations don't know where to start. So if you have a conversation with them about that challenge or what they're trying to do, maybe they bought something already, but they need help with the migration. So we help a big pain point that you can help from a building block approach is we get them the right people to help them through that path. So everyone loves to throw out, Gartner stats, but the talent shortage is limiting the adoption of new technology. It's slowing things down because people are trying to buy new stuff, but they don't necessarily have the ability to execute on it. And we've seen those projects fail. So a big area that you can help address with them through us is staffing and temporary technology services to help them with that. Now, and a lot of us love monthly reoccurring, right? We're in the managed services game. We're in the MRR game, right? We love to help our customers. We love to help put them into agreements that are consistent for them, but also keep us engaged in their day-to-day business. The big transaction one-time hits are fantastic, but if you get into a managed services agreement, you're in a monthly conversation with them, weekly conversation with them. You're helping them on the daily operate their business as a managed service provider. So you're very, very close. A key thing for us and for you to know is about 75% of our managed services contracts start out with a professional services engagement, either an assessment or a conversation or an initial checkup or something that kind of gets us involved to help a customer understand where they are today. So customers are dealing with a lot, right? Back to the technology is advancing very, very quickly. They can't keep up. They need help. Starting with a professional service, a one-time engagement. I know some partners have a challenge with that. They kind of want to go after everyone's kind of whale hunting sometimes. They want to go after the big MRC dollars out of the gate. Start with a conversation. Start with a assessment. Start with a checkup on a certain piece of the technology. And then once you understand a little bit more about those pain points, you can address an outcome and then start putting together a monthly reoccurring model for them. So great conversation starters. One of the biggest things we're seeing again is organizations having trouble finding people to help them execute on that outcome-based conversation that they're trying, or on that business outcome that they're trying to achieve. So back to again, this is our strategy. Staying connected while they're going through those different challenges, while they maybe going through hyper growth, and then maybe they lean a little bit into overconfident, get a little over their skis, and then they fall into the pain cave a little bit on something, and they remember, or you stay in contact with them, and you had mentioned, hey, you can help out with this certain feature of their Microsoft stack, or you had the ability to get them application development engineers or staffing, or you had a incident response team partner, us, Quest, that can come in and help them in an emergency, right? So staying connected, again, super, super critical. We have assets that can help you stay connected. So if you're looking for any of those types of things to do some drip campaigns or some marketing or some issues to your customers and make sure they're aware of like, hey, this is a challenge we're seeing in the market. How are you guys dealing with that? Would you like to have a conversation about it? Or here's a use case around how we address the staffing gap or a talent shortage or something like that. These are simple pain points that organizations are going through. It's slowed down recently with the economy, but it might pick up. Who knows? The Fed might cut rates and money might get cheap again. But mergers and acquisitions are a good driver. They're, depending on which way the economy goes, there might be some divestitures going on, and organizations are going to have to figure out how to do more with less. So also a good opportunity to stay engaged and listen to what they're doing, listen to some pain points. Organizations might have to figure out, hey, I don't have this headcount anymore, or I got to figure out a way to support this environment with a different strategy. So maybe not the growth, mergers and acquisitions thought, but a little bit of a different kind of angle there. When things in the economy change, there is a big opportunity to help organizations maybe do things a little bit differently. So during growth and during overconfident or even keeled, can be very comfortable or very confident. When things shift in the market, they have to look at alternatives. We've been through multiple economic cycles, and we've seen how alternatives can help grow your business as long as you're engaged to address those gaps. So, and then one thing I would be remiss to say if I don't bring it up would be the unplanned events of service disruptions and potential security incidents. Something where we're very unique and where you can be very unique is incident response and 24/7 ability to respond to non-Quest customers. So if it's not a Quest customer today and they need help and they need to launch incident response services, we can get them stood up and engage with our team very, very quickly. Typically, we get someone on the phone with them in about 15 minutes from them shooting a note to ir@questsys.com, or you can send it to ir@questsys.com, or go to our website. There's a giant big red button that says under attack. They can call into the knock. They can call in and basically say that they need help, and we can engage very, very quickly. So a lot of opportunities there. So we're all in the channel. Love the channel. Been in it since 2000, when I started at Quest, 2010. So we've been building out our channel practice, and what we've kind of, from our evaluation of what we see, there's a couple different roles that are being played in the channel. There's the trusted advisor. You manage relationships. You got the desired outcomes that they're working with. You got the trusted advisor, the TSBs that manage the supplier relationships. Where Quest can be a superpower for you in conjunction with the TSBs is basically we are very, very similar to you in the idea that we know the suppliers that need to come in to help execute on an opportunity. We know the operating systems, we know the security platforms, we know the data center providers, we know the carrier groups, we know all these different types of components that need to come in to address your customers' needs. We have those supplier relationships, and we can help deliver those to you as a bundled system integrator. So we don't go to market through any of the TSBs with a certain vertical or a certain outcome or a certain product set. A lot of suppliers do. A lot of suppliers kind of carry the flag for a certain manufacturer or a certain kind of solution set potentially. We don't necessarily approach the market that way. We approach it in a very, very similar way to the trusted advisor. What is the customer trying to do? What can the market deliver? And how do we put that together to achieve that desired outcome, right? The only difference is we have engineers and a delivery arm that helps put those pieces together, wrap it up together in a contract, and deliver it to your customer. So we handle that billing, we handle that coordination, we handle the distribution through your TSB of your choice. So very, very unique delivery model. We want to make sure that you have that availability and you can engage us, when the opportunity is, the right thing you want to talk about there. So in summary, got the 10 reasons here as far as, why leverage building blocks with Quest, right? We're going to help you simplify the process. I love the idea of taking 7 different vendors conversations and distilling it down to one, right? You got to have, and I probably use this example too much, but a managed Wi-Fi solution, you got your carriers, you have your cabling vendor, you have your professional services vendor to do the integration, you have your VAR where you got to buy the hardware and software from, and you got your managed services provider at the end of the day that's going to operate and manage that. And maybe you even have like a help desk vendor who's going to help support your end users. What Quest does is we take all those components, and in partnership with some of our partners out there, hey, if you want to sell us the gear, cool. If you're a cabling vendor and you want to come underneath our holistic offering as a supplier, that's totally fine too. We'll work with you as a partner to make sure your piece of the business is how you want to operate it. Maybe you want to sell us the carrier services. We don't care how the acquisition happens. We care how the delivery happens to the end user at the end of the day. So we bundle all those things together, and deliver it to the customer as basically a simple solution for them to consume as a service. That drives a lot of cost efficiency, right? You can bundle a lot of things together. We have a simple and a single network operations center that is delivered by Quest that we operate. So it's a reliable service offering where we have visibility to it. If they need security options, we can bundle security around it. They get one bill for 5 different offerings, all on one type of a service proposal. We can customize it to fit what you want to achieve as a partner and what your customer is trying to achieve from a business outcome standpoint. So we can source the technology from you. We can coordinate with you for the carrier services. We can bundle in your data center solution if you want to. We can work with you on a preferred vendor. If the customer has a preferred vendor that they like the technology, we can acquire that technology as part of the service offering. It's super powerful to have that outcome-based conversation. And what's critical to that working is you don't get to have an outcome-based conversation unless the customer trusts you. And what's critical to this strategy, and it's why Quest has gone all in on the channel, is because you as trusted advisors have the trust of the customer. I can do all sorts of cool stuff. I could, buy millions of dollars worth of hardware. I could build a data center. We could do all sorts of amazing things. Doesn't matter if a customer doesn't let us come to the table and talk to them about what they're actually trying to achieve. And that's the secret sauce of what you as a trusted advisor can help us with. And what we can help you with is simplify that delivery. So we love the channel. We've gone all in on the channel. That's our growth strategy. That's our national strategy. And that's a big part of what we believe in as far as, hey, how can we take this building block strategy and deliver it to the market? This is an example of it that I love to talk through. There are 10,000 accounts that are in the United States that are in this same boat. Just this similar boat. It's an assisted living community. They have about 200 IT users. They do about $42 million a year in revenue. So if you were to Google or Chat GPT or test out like how many similar firms there are in this same revenue and technology user count in the United States, last time I ran that analysis, it was around 10,000. So tons of opportunity out there, and it starts out small. It starts out small with, hey, let's start with one building block. So we started out with this organization in 2022 with firewall support. We started helping them with just monitoring their firewalls and keeping their firewalls and their connectivity up and operational. 3 months down the road, they understood that we could help from a help desk services standpoint. So we added that building block on. Another 3 months down the road, someone clicked on a link, right? They got phished, and there was an incident from a security perspective that they decided, hey, we need to tighten up our security policies, right? We had Quest, we had you in there for firewall support, but that's one layer of a multi-layers defense that needs to be put in place. So they added a pretty significant cybersecurity service in there, and they put an incident response retainer in place. So as you see, as the months go on, you stay engaged, you keep doing what you say you're going to do, you execute well for the customer, and they keep adding services. They keep adding additional areas where we can help, right? And then, by 2 years of being involved, we got a pretty big firewall as a service and aggregation project for them. And then, more recently got the big managed Wi-Fi solution that I was mentioning. So you start out, I'll take an $8,000 contract every day, all day long. Those are fantastic. But this isn't a huge organization. This is a 200 user company, 42 million, good business, but there's 10,000 of these in the marketplace. And these guys, after staying in touch with them, doing what you say you're going to do, built them from a $8,000 MRR to about a $78,000 MRR with our partner. And then also what's important is that this MRC does not address that we had about almost $200,000 in professional services and about $1.2 million in product purchases over that same time period. So amazing opportunity to help organizations support their IT. It's a big deal. And there's huge opportunities in managed services and building blocks in, small and medium-sized accounts. So we're going to wrap up here. I want to make sure we get a couple times for some questions or answer any questions, but you have the right as a trusted advisor to ask why they're doing something. And if you ask why they're doing something, it starts to get you down that conversation of what outcome are they looking for? Why are they buying that licensing? Why are they buying that hardware? Why are they moving to that data center? What's driving it, right? Some firms are do it yourself and they're not ready. They're not in the pain cave yet. They're not in trouble. They're maybe a little bit overconfident, or maybe they're in growth mode and they don't have time to deal with a third party. They're just got to run and gun and get it done. Asking them how they're planning to get there, see if they're willing to engage with a third party. Some aren't, and that's okay. But stay in touch with them, because at some point, something's going to change. And you will be there as the trusted advisor to help them get through that. And then again, would love for you to consider bringing Quest in as that delivery partner who can help with those complex requirements. So I know we only have a couple minutes left, but as far as contacting Quest, if you want to have an additional conversation, we'd love to have a capability discussion with you and go into depth on cybersecurity or app dev or any of our other pillars. We have a partner page, right? So go to the partners, Questsys partners page, or our main website here if you want to check out like the incident response under attack button or anything like that. We also have a portal that has some great content in it. It's just a couple click-throughs. Don't worry about username and password and annoying portals. I know we all love partner portals. I hate them because I always forget my password. So there's no password there, but great content if you want to take a look at them. And yeah, that's it. Paul, how are we doing on questions?
Also, we got a lot of questions, so let's blow through a few, and then we'll bring in Darcy for the gift card. So real quick, I just want to go in the order. Adam, our organization typically does not work on these projects. How can Quest help us communicate these services to our clients?
Oh, great question. So this came up earlier this year in an advisory council. So what we've put together, and I think Darcy, if you can put the link in, or we can follow up with the link, is we have developed playbooks and go-to-market content that can help you communicate these capabilities to your customers. So it includes things like LinkedIn posts, email campaigns, and these are conversation starters, like simple messaging, as well as some of the material that goes into depth as far as the different service offerings we have. So we have, partner playbooks. And then also, if you're interested in learning more or in depth, we have a learning management platform that can take you through a simple, or your sales reps through a simple accreditation and training process about technical staffing, on-call support, managed services, applications, all that kind of stuff from a high-level sales engagement standpoint. So if you're interested in that, we'll be following up with you on that content and would love to share it with you.
Okay, so let's keep them coming. Eric was wondering, for staff augmentation approach, or providing customers with IT people's skill they need, does Quest provide the person or a specific solution to address the technical skill gap?
So we are a staffing organization. We can do technical staffing and placement for full-time or contractor. We also have the ability, if there's a solution like a backup platform or a multi-factor authentication platform or any type of technical solution that maybe can address the need as well, monitoring, alerting, we can do that too. But we do full-time staffing and placement services for folks. Yes.
Nice. Scott was wondering, Quest has lots of great customer-facing PDFs. Do you have a PDF that pinpoints this topic of DIY and second-day support? I'm familiar with the staff augmentation, but wanted to see if there's another focused on this topic.
We do have some managed services and day two support content. Yes, absolutely. We do have that. I don't know if we have anything specifically branded around like do it yourself. I know back when BYOD was a big concept in the market, we definitely addressed that from like a security and remote connectivity standpoint. But that's a great question. Let's make sure to follow up. That was with Scott, Paul. We'll make sure to get Scott some additional content there. Yeah.
Wisconsin. And actually, that's kind of a great segue. If we don't get to your question, we will make sure to reach out and get you the answers. So I know we're coming up against the end of the hour. So I want to bring on Darcy, VP of Marketing, who's going to pull the gift card for those who are still here.
Hey everyone, I just drew the name, and that is Eric Noble. So you are the lucky winner of our $200 gift card today. Congratulations, and thank you everyone for joining us. I do want to throw in, and we'll follow up with an email afterwards. We do have, we did include that link for that turnkey marketing program that we have, but we'll follow up as well with a link in an email. And we're happy to, walk through any of these playbooks. If there's a specific service that you're interested in marketing and you want to get on the phone and kind of walk through the playbook and talk about some high level strategy, we are certainly very happy to do that. So again, we'll follow up with that information. It's in the chat here, but we'll send an email and follow up with it as well.
And a couple quick things before we end. Adam, great presentation. Thank you so much. If there was so much content, if you want to rewatch this video, it will be on the partner portal at questsys.com. So you can always access it there as well to learn more. Our next boot camp is going to be on Wednesday, June 25th. And that will be on how to sell cybersecurity services without being an expert. The cybersecurity one, always huge. So that'll be a great conversation. Adam, anything I'm forgetting?
No, I appreciate everyone's time today. This is a 6-part series, so we're going to be doing it every couple weeks. If you'd like to register for it, we do have a landing page available for that, and would love the attendance and any feedback as well. We're always trying to improve these sessions for our partners. So thank you very much for taking the time today, and looking forward to seeing you hopefully on the 25th.
Great.
Oh, real quick.
Yes. I think you and I are thinking the same thing. So
yes, real quick. Sorry, we have a partner forum tomorrow. Partner forums are interactive sessions where it's an open webinar for partners who want to come on and have conversations directly with the Quest channel team. And we have a couple topics we're going to be covering around professional services and some security topics as well around application development. So if you want to join us for the partner forum, that is tomorrow. And I believe Justin put a link in the chat earlier. If not, we will send that link out to you if you'd like to join us. I promise I won't talk the entire time tomorrow. We'll bring other people on to talk to. So, but would love to have you if you're available. Thank you again for your time today.